me is I like to call ego our instinctual mind. It is how we are naturally, it's our innate natural ability to connect to the spirit world. Now, peace, greetings, and gratitude. Welcome to my channel. Or I should say, welcome to my podcast, Wonders of the Human Experience. It's your girl Z, aka Celia. This should be episode 7, bro. Episode 7 is understanding the ego and the higher mind. Okay, now this one, we're just gonna let it flow, okay? I did write down a couple of things about how I'm going to explain it to you guys, but in all honesty, I wrote down key points and we're just literally going to talk about it because, yeah, it needs to be spoken about. All right, so for starters, and by the way, please, if y'all see this, this is my other tapestry on the wall. Listen, it's just flowing today. It don't normally do this, but it's doing it today. So if you see it, just kind of ignore it. But anyways, let's talk. The first thing I want to talk about is ego. Okay, so I have sort of like a different perspective of like how the ego pertains to us, if that makes sense. Because I remember when I was first starting my spiritual journey, when I was like first awakening, I heard people speaking on the ego, talking about the ego, what the ego is. I've heard many different analogies for what the ego is and how it really just overall, it's like this picture. It was like this very negative energy behind ego. And I never liked that because I always felt like ego really like it low-key grounds us in this earth realm in a sense. Let me just fucking start. My bad. So ego to me is I like to call ego our instinctual mind. It is how we are naturally, it's our innate natural ability to connect to the spirit world. Now, when it comes to your ego, not intuitive, the instinctual mind, sometimes you can kind of look at it as if yes, it has this energy that allows you to naturally do the things that us as humans that we do, but it's more so in a way where we just literally naturally do it. We don't really have that self-awareness of how things are happening. It's like the lack of question, if that makes sense. Like you don't question how to connect to certain things. You're naturally doing it, even if you aren't aware of how you're doing it. Okay. So I kind of how I look at it is same way how a lot of different things were programmed and conditioned and manipulated and all sorts of things as far as why we are as a society, right? Society is very yeah, we're not really gonna say too much about that. But the reason why it is the way that it is because we all low key, we're following a program. We're following something that we have been conditioned into following. It's 9 times out of 10, we were very manipulated into being conditioned and programmed into these ways. But for me personally, I felt like the ego was conditioned and programmed to work against us, to work against you. You know, that's just like kind of like my whole deal with the ego. I don't necessarily think it's this horrible thing that we shouldn't have, that we should get rid of. It has to be destroyed. No, I feel as if that the ego should be integrated with the other part of your mind, because also like I'm probably going to have up something on the page to where I can kind of show you where what I'm thinking. But like ego is like, okay, so how I connect the ego is it's part of like the lower aspects of ourselves. It doesn't necessarily mean it's negative, you know. Same way how a tree needs roots in order for it to be strong. You can kind of picture this with the ego. So we need the ego in order to have a foundation of something in whatever way that fits. Hopefully that makes sense. But how I connect the ego to, it's very connected to our instincts, very connected to this earthly realm, us being as us just literally being humans. And it's connected to that lower aspect of yourself. But once again, your lower aspect of yourself is not meant to be judged, okay? It's not meant to be something that you're not supposed to be connected with, and you're not supposed to uh have it. Why would you have something? Why is it a part of you if you're not meant to have it? You know what I'm saying? So I just, feel like we shouldn't, talk too crazy about ego sometimes. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, because I always feel like there's two different versions of the ego. You can have the negative side of ego and you have the positive side of ego. The negative side is more likely the side where you are unaware, you're unconsciously doing certain things, and it's detrimental and harmful to you and to people around you. That is when ego can become a huge fucking problem. You feel me? Like, come on, man, that can be a huge problem. Versus, the ego that's more so integrated with the other half of itself, which is the higher mind, and it being allowed to observe what the ego is doing and applying some sort of change, holding yourself accountable of some sort. That would represent more so like the positive aspect of ego, if that makes sense. But you know I definitely do feel like it is programmed and conditioned to work against us. And it's like, once again, if we weren't meant to have the ego, why is it a part of us? It's not the only part that we should be tapping into, but it's definitely a part that we need. It's a huge necessity. It's literally how we naturally connect to the spiritual realm, how we connect to this earthly realm too. It's a natural thing for us. The thing with it is, it has gotten to a point where we are literally, we have been so stuck in our natural instincts and our instinctual minds, to where we have yet to connect with the higher mind and allow ourselves to break free of stagnant cycles, things that don't change. There's no form of evolution being taken place. Like, it creates a stagnancy when you only connect to that lower aspect of yourself. And once again, it can be very harmful. It can be very beneficial if you're able to tap into your higher mind and integrate, higher perspectives, uh, higher choice or better choices, and just an overall a better state of being. But that's kind of like my take on ego. We're gonna move on to the higher mind now. All right, so for the higher mind, and one thing I should have it up here to where y'all can see what I'm talking about. So the higher mind is typically what I like to call your higher self. You can also connect this to um, your intuitive mind. I am going to be referencing the intuitive mind the most, if anything. Or you can also represent it as the spiritual realm. It's your intuition. I also kind of could connect this to like your heart because your heart is like the gateway to the spiritual realm, if that makes sense. Like it's literally the gateway to you having all forms of communication within the spiritual realm, you receiving certain things, like it's going to be through your heart chakra. So it's really important to have all of your chakras open, but especially your heart. Because, like I said, it is the key holder. It's the key holder. It is the literal gateway to you even being able to do certain things in the spiritual realm. So if you don't have an open heart, 9 times out of 10, you're probably not as active in the spiritual realm or likely connected to your intuitive mind, your higher self, whatever, whatever you guys kind of want to stick with. I'm going to be referencing the higher. Here you go. Oh my god. I really hope that it records this whole thing. Cause my laptop is screaming right now. It's the fans is on, baby. Like I don't even know if y'all can hear this. I'm putting music over this anyway, so y'all should be able to hear it. But I really hope it records all of this. Anyways, so yes, what I would typically refer to as the higher mind, the higher self, is your intuitive mind. Now, your intuitive mind is pretty much you being able to connect the you being able to connect the dots. Why is that like give me tongue twisted vibes? What? Connecting the dots and having and forming the awareness of how you are perceiving things, right? So with the instinctual mind, you're naturally able to do it, right? You don't have to really think about you're doing it already. You feel me? You're connecting to certain things already as is. For example, um I remember when I had got a reading from a really, at the time, a friend of mine, and she was like, why don't your ancestors or your spirit guides have any messages for you? She was like, you must really connect with them often. And to me, I'm like, I guess so. Right? I guess so, because literally, somehow, some way, I was like, we're literally naturally already doing it. Like I kid y'all not, we're already naturally tapping into our psychic abilities, connecting and having that form of communication with our ancestors and our spirit guides, whoever your spiritual team is. We are likely already doing those things, but it's all under the form of it's very natural. You don't have that awareness. You don't have the other aspect to where you can be aware and you can see how it's actually being perceived by you, right? So that's kind of what the intuitive mind does. It's your intuition. It's how you're able to listen to what you're feeling and what you're seeing. And it also just really connects to like how you're able to how you're really able to connect to the spiritual realm, because I hear a lot of people that talk about how they want to open their gifts, how they want to do certain things pertaining to connecting with their spirit guides, their spirit team, or like I said, just their psychic abilities, whatever specific abilities that they might not be aware of, but they're naturally doing it. Same thing for me. I'm naturally always using my gifts. I just didn't know they were gifts. I didn't have the awareness that it was like, oh, that's what that is. Oh, you know what I'm saying? So, and like honestly, we have gone so freaking long without actually allowing ourselves to connect to our intuitive minds that we have a hard time opening ourselves up to certain things. So people that are really, really in their instinctual mind. Okay, my fault. I was getting a call, but people that are really like kind of stagnant, or they're not, I don't know what how to describe it, but for the lack of better terms, I'm going to say since they are stuck in the cycle. Oh my goodness. Okay, since they are stuck in that cycle of being so instinctual and not, it kind of like, it's like they lose their way of that other aspect of them. And some people, they don't even know there's a whole part of themselves that they're missing, you know. There are people out here that do not know that they are a spiritual being having a human experience. This experience would not be able to exist without the spiritual realm. Anything that takes place on this earthly realm happened first in the spiritual realm. That's a fact. That is a fact. So when people, and I remember like a lot when I was during my awakening, I kept seeing like, you are a spiritual being, you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And I was like, what, why don't people take that into account? And another thing, not only people are people not really aware of this other aspect of themselves, some people go as far as denying it. And what's so funny about this is the spiritual realm is the unseen. It is the unseen realm. You can't physically see it. That's not how it works. And it's just like, people that are in denial about it, they have this assumption that they have to see it in order to believe it. But I want to say for most, oh my goodness, I want to say for most of us, we feel it before anything. You will feel it before anything, right? But people, like I was saying, people that have a hard time opening up, if they have a very closed mind, if they have a very limited consciousness, they limit themselves so immersely. It's really like, wow, like you really, like when you really start to pay attention to people, how they talk, how they act, what they say, how they do it, you will literally figure out people to a T. A lot of people have a very limited consciousness. And this is not to say like it's their fault or anything, but I was once in the same position as them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, what is stopping people from questioning for more is what I should really be saying. You know what I'm saying? What is stopping people from wanting to know more about themselves? Some people have just simply accepted reality, or society has accepted everything for what it is. They think we're supposed to be suffering. They think things are supposed to be hard. They think life is supposed to suck and we're not supposed to do things that we truly enjoy doing, like things that it's very, very heart chakra energy. Like we are meant to be doing those things. Like that's kind of what society has been conditioned and programmed into thinking, right? So even the possibility of knowing that more is out there, they have a hard time accepting that. So that's pretty much the basis of the intuitive mind. I really hope this makes sense for people because honestly, if I can be really honest, we have been so disconnected from our intuitive minds for so long. When I say when we come through the portal as infants, as babies, we're naturally already whole with both of these minds sync together in a very harmonious way. There's very much that we don't necessarily have to be taught, but necessarily just experience it for ourselves because we naturally already have the ability to connect to our instinctual way of being and our intuitive way of being. But what happens is when children come through the portal and they start to see how society is, we also get programmed and conditioned, and we get tainted, and the world think that's how they're supposed to do it. Parents think that's how they're supposed to treat children. No, children are highly freaking intelligent, and you should never underestimate somebody because they're younger than you. That's so crazy. Age has nothing to do with this. It's always, to me, how I feel about it is we are all, every single one of us, we are all, could I say segments? We are all a part of God, of source, the most high, whatever higher power you believe in. We all literally come from that. So how is it possible that this child that just came through knows nothing? You know what I'm saying? How? And now you know what's so funny is, who teaches kids how to walk? Who teaches them how to talk? Who teaches them how to do certain things? Not really nobody. If that make like nobody, like kids learn that on their own. So what makes you think that these kids are not intelligent? How are they not intelligent? They walking on their own and nobody convinced them how to do it. They just intuitively knew how to freaking do it. Or they gradually started to build the momentum of how they can, of the awareness of how they can walk. Because that's just kind of how the progress goes when you kid. But anyways, back to what I was saying. People downplay children a lot. They think we're literally freaking stupid. They think we know nothing. They think because we're young and that we're docile, and that they have to do, I don't know, whatever. We're not going to get into that too much, but we literally do the kids such a disservice when we shun them, we silence them, we tell them you can't be your authentic self. You can't act like that. You can't be this way. You can't be that way. We tell them a whole bunch of no's and what not to do, what you can't do, how not to be. You know what I'm saying? It's just a whole lot of, you have to be like this, and that's the only way you gonna make it. That's is BS. That's BS. You do not have to be anything but yourself. You came in with this uniqueness and you gonna leave with it. Okay? That's it though. I'm gonna get into it. All right, so cool. Now we have, ooh, hold on, I think I got to sneeze. Damn. Oh, hold on. What y'all know about that? What y'all know about that? Anyways, so here's the final part. The final part is essentially connecting both, right? So, like I said, I don't know when I said it, but I know I said it. You are naturally doing a lot of things that you're asking for. So, like I said, I gave the example of some people want to connect with their ancestors more, some people want to connect with spirit guides. You can even say deities. You can say some people want to work with certain deities. Some people want to tap into certain spiritual gifts, spiritual abilities, psychic abilities that they have. You're naturally doing these things, right? You're instinctually naturally doing it, but you have yet to connect your intuitive mind to have the awareness of how it is uh, ultimately being perceived to you, if that makes sense. So like I said, when I gave that example of that girl that I had paid for a reading for, she was a psychic, she was a friend of mine. So, I trusted her, and she was like, yeah, you don't really have too many, messages because you're already connecting to them quite often. So I was like, oh, okay. So it must be through the things that I typically do. Cause I'm very intentional. Um, Regardless of what it is that I do, even when I'm in the shower, especially when I'm around water, I will literally program water so quickly with my words. with my hands, with my mind, my imagination. I'll do it quickly. So I can understand why she would say that they didn't really have many messages for me because I'm already naturally receiving the message. The part to pick up the awareness to connect it with your intuitive mind, you ultimately have to pay the fuck attention. Pay attention, research. So like even with like angel numbers, if you're seeing a lot of angel numbers, that's also a form of communication from your spirit guides, your spirit team, your ancestors, whoever it is that you're connected with and connected to. You know what I'm saying? Your higher self. It could be from your higher self. You know what I'm saying? Ultimately, you building that awareness is what I like to tell people first is pay attention to like what you're thinking of or how you are feeling when you get some form of synchronicity. Y'all know what I'm talking about. An angel number, some form, like let's say you saw a blue dragonfly outside. That is part of it. But you doing the little bit of extra work with trying to remember what you were either thinking, what you were either feeling, something that might be bothering you on a daily basis, or or just like literally just kind of just fit it how where it needs to be fit because this can go in so many different ways. So yes, pay attention to what the world is showing you. You'll see signs. You'll get confirmations from signs, from random stuff, from like the back of a taxi driver. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's really random. Like, it's really random, but it's really not random. It's really much so in sync. You know what I'm saying? Nothing is a coincidence, you know? So just pay attention to what you're seeing. Pay attention to what you hear as well. I kid you not, I have this one ancestor that will send me so many songs. And I'm just literally like, oh, okay, like that's part of your clairaudience. Also, look into the clairs. There's like, I think 7 different clairs that we have. Look at all of them. You got clairaudience, clairvoyance. Clairaudience is your ability to hear. You got clairvoyance, your ability to see. You got claircognizance, your ability to know. You have, I'm not going to do the whole thing. I might put a little picture up there so y'all can speak. But literally study that stuff. But back to what I was saying, like pretty much just really pay attention. And if you don't necessarily know the spiritual meaning behind some of these things, it's okay to look it up. But the reason why I say to kind of like go off of what you're thinking and what you're feeling or something that you've probably been dealing with for a minute, go based off of that and see, but also go and research what the spiritual meaning of it can be as well, because it'll help you kind of connect dots a little easier versus you just trying to go simply based off of something that you think you were, you know, whatever. Like I don't want to do too much, but definitely research it. Definitely pay attention to what they are already, because it's already happening, guys. You're already developing your psychic abilities, your spiritual abilities, whatever you want to call it. You're already doing it. You're already doing it. What do y'all think? A lot of like the life lessons that we go through, that stuff builds character, not just not just things pertaining to like your personality, developing your discernment. I'm talking everything. It builds everything that is a part of you, including your abilities, your ability to connect to your guides, your ability to pick up these synchronicities, these confirmations. It does help, and it just really just helps you with getting the overall picture of what is happening, what is going on, what is the awareness that I need in this current now moment. Just seriously, the biggest thing is just pay attention. Pay attention, and you really should be able to pick up on it the more you pay attention. And like I said, I would advise you going internally first to see how it pertains to you, then go look at the spiritual meaning and see if that aligns with what you know what I'm saying, what you thought, what you felt, based off of you seeing whatever synchronicity it was. Because it could be, like I say, it can be insects, it can be angel numbers, it can be people talking to you. Because listen, that happens all the time to me. When people talk to me, it's like a fucking, they're like a angel. Like, bitch, you're my ancestor or something. What you doing talking to me like this? You know what I'm saying? So, like, people, like, it happens in so many different ways. Try not to limit, or try not to expect how the awareness is going to show up, and just be open to it, because it comes in so many different ways and forms that you can literally get it like that. Anytime that I'm too much in my head about something, if I'm overthinking something, I kid y'all not, I literally see hawks. Every single time I will see a hawk, I will see a big bird of something. Typically, it's a hawk. And when you look up the spiritual meaning of hawks, I even have an oracle deck uh, of animals, and it's all in alignment with whatever it was that I was thinking and whatever it was that I looked up. It's like, dang, like the communication is there, the awareness is there. Okay, they want me to get out my head about this. Stop, doubting this. Stop not trusting this. Stop not having faith. Things of that nature. So pay attention. Pay attention. That is going to be the biggest thing about connecting your instinctual mind that's unaware of what's happening, and connecting it to your intuitive mind, and simply allowing it to come to you how it's supposed to. Because I remember, like, I would try to control how I would receive the awareness, and no, let it just flow, let it be as fluid as possible. Don't expect too much of how you're supposed to receive it. Do not limit yourself. Never do that. Never limit how you think something should go or how it should happen. Always be open to any form of communication. And based off of the communication that you do get, take that into consideration. Do your due diligence with researching, feeling your own emotions, going through your own thoughts, and seeing how it aligns with whatever it is that you're going through in life. And I promise you will start slowly but surely, you will start to build that awareness. So when you start seeing certain things, you're like, oh, I know what that means. Or when you start seeing certain insects or certain numbers, you instantly know what it means. Now, have fun with it. Once again, don't limit yourself to what it is or how it will show up in your reality. Okay. That's pretty much it for this video. Appreciate y'all if you stay to this long. I know it's I be kind of dragging it a little bit. My apologies, but I kind of just have to talk. I just literally just gotta talk. I really do, and sometimes they give me extra messages on top of the messages that I was gonna give y'all, so I start channeling extra stuff. So it just be like that sometimes. But yes, I hope this was very helpful. I hope it was insightful for you. Hope it helped you in some form of way. Make sure y'all like and share. Comment if you have any questions, if you want me to elaborate on something else, or if you have something pertaining to you personally that you want to kind of figure out. Ask me questions, guys. I'm open to questions. And share this with anyone that's also kind of going through this as well. But yeah, I'll talk to y'all later. Peace.